like, we've discussed, it's some dark times. There's some dark times. It's really easy to be grateful and to trust in God and His plan for your life when everything is going good. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do when things are not going like planned? Things aren't happening as fast as you would like them to. Are you going to live in faith and unconditional trust? Or are you going to do your trust conditionally? We talked about this the other day. Are you going to only trust God when He's doing things like you like, fast as you want? Or are you going to trust that even when things aren't going like you would like for them to, that He still has your back? We all go through difficulties. We all go back through setbacks, loss, pain is part of life, and a lot of times it feels like a dark place. And when we're in these dark places, it's really, really easy to get discouraged. And think, one of the most important things that I've learned is to not put a question mark where God has put a period. Okay, all of us live through things that we do not understand. One reason is that we can't see the bigger picture for our lives. If you have a jigsaw puzzle, on the front of the box is a picture that shows you what it's going to look like. Maybe it's a picture of a sunset overlooking the ocean. As a whole, it's fantastic, so beautiful. But if you was to take one piece of that puzzle and isolate it, you're going to think this piece is a mistake. It's not going to fit anywhere. It's oddly shaped, and there's nothing beautiful about it. The fact is, though, it has a perfect place. It has a perfect place. It's already been fitted. It's already been planned. It's part of the whole design. Okay? When all the pieces come together, it's going to fit right in. You just can't see it now because all the other pieces are not in place. Okay? In a similar way, sometimes like when we look at the pieces of our lives, some things just don't make sense. I lost a loved one. I went through a divorce. My business went under. This just did not. This could just not be part of the plan. It just couldn't. So you have to trust even in the painful times. Times when you're hurting, when you're lonely, when you're going through medical treatment. When on the surface, the pieces of your life don't make sense, even then, God doesn't make any mistakes. He's already designed your life and laid out every piece down to the very smallest detail. Never said that we would understand everything along the way. He didn't promise that there would be any pain, that there would be any suffering, that there wouldn't be any disappointment. Okay? He did promise that it will all work out for you. That piece that's painful, that don't look like it makes any sense. So everything comes together, you're going to find that it makes perfect sense. Okay? The key is, what are you going to do in your time of pain? Pain will change us. Pain will change us. Difficulties, heartbreak, suffering, they don't leave us the same. Okay? I lost somebody very, very, very dear to me. I didn't come out of that experience the same person. I was changed. If you go through a divorce, if you go through a legal battle, if you have a friend that betrays you, eventually the experience will pass and you're going to get through it, but you're going to be different. How the pain changes you, though, is up to you. Okay? You can come out bitter or you can come out better. I'm going to say that again. You can come out bitter or you can come out better. You can come out with a chip on your shoulder saying, why did this happen? Or you can come out stronger with a greater trust in God. You can come out defeated, having given up on your dreams, or you can come out blessed with a new fire, looking for new opportunities. So we've all experienced pain. y'all experience pain. My challenge to you is don't go through it, go through it. Type that in the chat. Don't go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to create a greater trust in God. See, anybody can fall apart. That's easy. I don't think you can. You know, anybody can get better. That's easy. That's easy. That's the easy way out. What that's doing is wasting your pain. That pain's not there to stop you. It's there to develop you, to prepare you, to increase you. Okay? The scripture, it talks about how God is not only in control of our lives, he's also in control of our enemy. Okay? Satan had to ask for permission from God before he could test Job. The enemy may turn on the furnace, but the good news is that God has his hand on the thermostat. Okay? God controls how much heat, how much pain, how much adversity we will face. He knows what we can handle. Okay? It's not cliche when they say God's never going to put more on you than you can handle. And I mean, yes, even me, there's some days, man, God's had serious talks like, you know, I don't know how strong that you expect me to be, but come on, you know. But in the end, he will not put more on us than we can handle, okay? If it's going to harm us rather than to help us, he dials the thermostat back. In these tough times, when it's uncomfortable, when you're dealing with an illness or going through a loss, you can easily, very easily, let it overwhelm you. And it's so helpful to remind yourself, you know, I may be in the furnace, but I know who's controlling the temperature. The God who brings his life into me, the God who is for me and not against me, the God who crowns me with favor. Can I get an amen team favor? Can I get an amen team favor? The God who takes pleasure, the God who takes pleasure in prospering me, he's in complete control. He's not going to let it get too hot. He's not going to let it defeat me. I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I am not a whiner. I am a warrior. I know I can handle it. You have that attitude, and what's going to happen in your dark places, you're going to come out refined. You're going to come out purified. You're going to come out prepared, and you're going to come out stronger. Okay? You've heard the saying, "No pain, no gain." Well, if everything was easy, we wouldn't be prepared for our destiny. Some of the situations and the pressures that I face today would have overwhelmed me if I faced them 2 years ago. I can handle it. God knows exactly what you need and what you need. Every struggle is making you stronger. Every difficulty is growing you up. You may not like it, but every painful time is developing something in you that can only be developed in the dark, in the tough times. Remember, God does his greatest work when it's dark. Don't complain about the pain. Because without the pain, you would not reach for the fulfillment of your destiny. Okay? In 1982, researchers aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia, they did an experiment with honeybees. Okay, they took them up into space to study the effects of weightlessness on them. According to a NASA memo, the bees were unable to fly normally and tumbled into weightlessness. Then it was reported that the bees had gone stationary. One can only imagine that they just floated through the air with great ease, having a great time while not having to use their wings. Perhaps they thought, well, this is life. Well, this is the way we were created. No struggle, no hardship, no pain. But they all died. Every single one of them. They may have loved having it easy, having no adversity, but they weren't created for that. You might say that they enjoyed the ride, but then they died. They enjoyed the ride, but then they died. Like those bees, we were not made to just float through life on flowery bed of ease. We're going to the sweet by and by, but we're living in the nasty now and now. We would love to not have any pain, any suffering, any bad breaks, any betrayals, any loss. That's not reality, guys. That's just not reality. Difficulties are going to come. Pain is a part of life. So I need you to keep the right perspective, okay? In the tough, dark times, God's getting you prepared. If it were too much, God would already the intensity. Don't ever forget He controls the thermostat, okay? He controls the thermostat. And He has it in His hand. He has the thermostat in His hand. Quit telling yourself you can't do. You're full of can-do power. You're armed with strength for any battle you face. The reason the fire's so hot is that there's something big in your future. God's growing you up. He's getting you ready to receive your blessings, your favor, and increase like you have never seen. Because guys, there's lessons. There is lessons in our pain, okay? There's purpose. There's purpose in your pain. God allows the pain, but He don't say, let me give them some pain to make their life miserable. Let me hit her with sickness. Let me cause her some heartache. He uses it for a purpose. If we're not always going to understand, why did I get sick? Why did my loved one not make it? Why did my marriage not work out? I can't answer the whys. I can tell you if God allowed it, He knows how to bring good out of it. Okay? This is what faith is all about. God, I don't like this pain. I don't like this darkness, and I trust you. But I trust you. One of the hardest things in my life was my estrangement from my older three kids. It was heavy for me. It was my whole little life. I suffered, and I could never be okay because I didn't have all my kids. When my two daughters were senior in high school, they came back into my life. We were talking like all day, every day for like 2 months. Okay, and they had popped in and out of my life those years. And every time they popped out, I said, well, my son. And I had to drugs. Try to build that home, try to build that boy, to try to numb myself. Okay? I would get for years, I'm building it higher. And about then, it was very hard. This week's birthday, then I had Thanksgiving. Then it was my son's birthday, then Christmas, then the New Year, and it just sucked. It just sucked. And so when the girls were senior in high school, we were talking like all day, every day. I thought we were building this great relationship, and that we were getting close. And I was like, this again, God has brought them back. God's brought them back to me, and they're going to be forever, and it's going to be amazing. And something happened, and they were still under their dad's rule. And I think we found out that we were talking, and then all of a sudden they were just like, "This is too much stress. I'm ready to like my school about to start college. I can't handle this." And they come to me. It goes to me like, I was so broken. I was so broken. I was so heartbroken. I was so consumed with grief that I just. And I remember, I was sitting in my car, and I was just like, God, I can't do this again. God, I can't make it through it. I don't know what to do. I'm like, all I know is what I'm not going to do. And it's the same thing that I always know this to happen in terms of drugs, because I know where that takes me, and it's not a good place. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know what I'm not going to do, and I'm going to need you to get me through this, because I can't do it on my own. I can't get through this pain on my own, and so I just like didn't know how I was going to do it. But I put my total faith in Him, And I got through the pain, healed, I recovered. So I let them be where they were at and this one. About 2 years after that, I came back into my life again. And at first I was like, oh God, I can't do this again. But that dark place where they had led me before when they were seniors in high school, that was a test from God to see if I was really ready to be their parent. So when I made that decision in the darkness and some of the worst pain that I've ever felt, your kids can hurt you worse than anything ever. In that dark place, in the darkest place, where nothing could compare, the pain just could not compare. I made the decision to dig more into my faith, to dig more into God, to trust in Him, that He would get me through it when He seen that I can make that decision to follow Him instead of going back to all of my old ways, which was turning to drugs, to numb the pain and get through. I passed the test, and I never thought it would happen. Like it was like a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years right after that. They're not, they can make their own choices. They don't have to, they're grown. And now we are filled with a relationship that we've always should have been able to have. And they're back for good. And I know that the only thing that can mess that up is me. I'm always one bad decision, one wrong choice away from the rules for my life. So that's why when I get up every day, I'm praying and get my will and I get my life God. I need to guide my footsteps as He sees best. So that's just a little testimony from me that the dark places not always dark. They're setting you up, okay? They're setting you up. God, I don't like this pain. I don't like this darkness, but I trust you. I believe you're in control. I'm not just going to go through it. I'm going to grow through it. I'm not just going to keep a good attitude. I'm going to count it all. I'm going to count it all as joy, knowing that this pain is going to lead to my gain. Sometimes, we bring the pain on ourselves. We make poor choices. We get into like a relationship knowing it's not going to be good. We get over our head and spending, and then there's pain. We're dealing with consequences. God's full of mercy. He'll always give us the grace to get through it. But in order to not waste the pain, you've got to learn the lesson. You've got to learn the lesson. Big enough to say, here's where I missed it. Lord, the warnings. I got involved with the wrong people. I got out of God's timing. I'm not going to do that again. There's a lesson in that pain. Don't be hard-headed and keep going through the same pain over and over and over and over again. When I finally made the decision to break the chains, stop repeating the same mistakes that I had already made, to trust in God instead of getting away from God and going down the wrong road and other things. I proved myself. I proved my faithfulness. I proved that I had learned the life lesson that I was supposed to learn, which is to be dummy. Drugs ain't it. Drugs ain't it. Bless me. Bless me with my kids back. Okay. Oh, don't be a hard head and keep going through the same thing over and over and over again. Break the chains. Break the chains. Break the chains. Type that in the chat. Break the chains. I know a guy who struggled with diabetes for years. He ended up in the hospital for a month. I saw him in the lobby afterwards. He looked better than ever. He said, that time in the hospital, it was like that. I lost 40 pounds. I changed my diet. I exercised every day. I feel like a new man. What is he doing? What was he doing? He was not wasting the pain. We learned the lesson. We talk about how important it is to let go of the past, let go of the divorce, the failure, the bad grades. That's true, okay? But before you let go of the negative event, you need to remember that the lesson you learned from that experience. You're doing your yourself a disservice if you go through a painful time and you don't come out of it with what you were supposed to gain. I talked to a man who was about to get married for the 4th time. I'm not judging him. I don't know his story, but he made one statement that was very telling. He said, you know, pray for me. All my life said they had work around on me. I didn't say it, but I thought, you know, the one common denominator in all of this is maybe the lesson he needs to learn is to be careful about the kind of woman which he attracts. There is lesson in the pain. Don't keep repeating the same mistakes. You know, consider a guy who was like driving his car. He gets into an accident. He gets upset. He went over to the driver and said, "Lady, why don't you watch where you're going? You're the 5th person that's run into me today." You know, he's going to keep experiencing that pain until he gets big enough to look inside and say, "You know what? I really got to learn how to drive. You know what? I really got to start using my liquor. You know what? I really got to stop texting and driving." You know, he's going to keep going through it until he learns what he's got to learn. Are you bringing pain on yourself? Are you struggling with relationships that don't last? Perhaps because you keep saying everything that you feel like saying, the pain will stop if you learn the lesson. So let's talk about a birth of something. Let's talk about a birth of something new. Sometimes we experience pain that has nothing to do with our choices. We're doing the wrong thing. And the wrong thing happens. My ex's mother was raising her grandkids. And she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. It's what it's happening. It was emotionally painful. Thinking about having to leave her grandchildren with their parents. She didn't get depressed or bitter. She learned that where God puts a period, she should not be question mark. God, my life is in your hand. You say the number of days you will fulfill. I know that people don't have the final say, that you have the final say, and it didn't happen every time. But she got better. Okay? She got out of that thing. One person leaving her. Okay? So then she started going around and praying for people that were the very thing that tried to destroy her is what God used to push her to the new level of her destiny. Okay? She goes up to medical centers every week. And in the chapel, what the enemy means for harm, God's going to use. So there are times when God's going to allow us to go through a painful season so that He can birth something new on the inside. Paul said in 2 Corinthians, the God of all comfort can comfort us in our time of trouble, so we can comfort those in need with the comfort we have received. If you go through something you don't understand, instead of getting upset and asking, why me? God allowed this to happen because He trusts you. He doesn't count on you to take the same encouragement that helps you overcome this struggle and share it with others. Even though, you know, that struggle with cancer was very difficult, she said she wouldn't try it. She wouldn't have been any different. The pain was greater purpose. Maybe you've gone through something you don't understand. Sickness, abuse, infertility, raising a difficult child is painful. Life may not turn out the way that you hope. It's easy to have a victim mentality and think, so good. Why did this happen to me? Why did those people mistreat me growing up? Why did those people mistreat me growing up? If I have this bad break, God knows that He can trust you with the forces of darkness that want to take you out. God has His hand on the dark side. God said, not so fast. That's my son. Not so fast. That's my daughter. That's my little girl. That's my pretty boy. I have an assignment for them. God told Satan, you can test my servant Job, but you can't take his life. He's not going to quit serving me. I know Job. God say this about you. It's difficult, but I know what you're made of. It's painful. It's not fair. But in the end, I'm not going to bring you out anything other than stronger, increased, promoted, but I'm going to use you to help others that are struggling in this same area. There's purpose in your pain. Do you know how many businesses, how many ministries, how many charities were birthed out of someone's pain? Let's turn this pain around. Let's turn it around and use it as a force for God. In May 1980, Katie Leitner received a phone call telling her that her 13-year-old daughter, Carrie, had been hit by a car while walking to church. Carrie lost her life that day. Okay. Then she found out that the man that had been driving the car had been driving under the influence of alcohol and was also a repeat offender. Something rose up within her that she had never felt, a mother's rage. In her late daughter's bedroom, she started an organization with no money, no influence, no experience. She called it Mother's Ministry. 37 years later, it's one of the country's largest activist organizations. It has saved hundreds of thousands of lives. It's changed laws. It's influenced public awareness and policy. See, Katie Leitner, she understands the principle that we're discussing. She did not waste her pain. Her efforts, no, it didn't hurt the body. She knew that there was purpose in her pain. That she could have sat around in a dark place and self-pity. She could have given up on her dreams. She didn't put a question mark for God and period. That piece of her puzzle did not make any sense at the time. But she believed that when everything came together, it would fit perfectly into place. That's what happened today. She's affecting the world. And her experiences reform that God used it for good. I pray to God most of us are not going to experience something that tragic, but if Candy can take one of life's greatest pains and turn it around to a force of good, then you and I can find purpose in our pain. Don't get caught up wondering, where's this my puzzle go? It's ugly. It don't make sense. Forward. So how she did and find somebody you can help. Healing comes when you can get outside of yourself and help others. As long as you stay focused on your pain, what you lost, what didn't work out, you're going to get stuck. Less than that pain. You're uniquely qualified. You have something to give others. You can comfort those who are going through what you have been through. I know a lady, she got a bad medical report, okay? Doctors found what they thought was an cancerous tumor. We prayed and we believed that the test would come back negative, but it confirmed that the tumor was indeed cancerous. She knows she's not a victim, she's a victor. She understands this principle and that there's a purpose to the pain. God would not have allowed it if He was not going to bring good out of it. She didn't get negative or bitter. Her attitude was, God, I trust you. I know I'm in the palm of your hand. Piece of my puzzle don't make sense to me, but I know you have got it all figured out. I know you got it all figured out. And in the end, it's gonna work for my good. Okay, she took the chemo for 1 year. It was difficult. She didn't like it, but today she's 11 years cancer free. Now she goes back to the hospital as a volunteer and encourages people to fight, and helps them through their journey in fighting cancer. She tells them, I know what I'm going through. I've been there. I've taken the chemo. God brought me through it, and you can do it for you too. She's not wasting her pain. Her test has become her testimony. Okay? We've all been through things that are uncomfortable, things we don't like, but God's made a way where we didn't see a way. If it weren't for His goodness, His mercy, His strength, we wouldn't be here. God is counting on us to let our light shine in the dark places. What you've been through will help somebody else get through. Be on the lookout for others you can encourage. I think my friend, Coach Al Brown, told me about a young lady named Lola Jones, a star sprinter and two-time world indoor champion in 60 meter hurdles. She went to the 2008. She went to the 2008 Olympics. Heavily favored to win the gold medal in the 100-meter hurdles. Nobody even got close to her time. She climbed up on the track. She started firing the gun. She took off running. Everything was going great, and she was out in front, just as expected. 8 hurdles down, 2 to go, and she wins the gold. On the 9th hurdle, her timing was off, and against all odds, she hit the hurdle and she failed. It was just enough of a stumble to allow the woman next to her to pass her. She did not win the gold. She had worked her whole life for that 12-second race, and it ended with a huge. In an interview, she said, in effect, I'm very disappointed. It was very painful. But now I know who can help other people who have fallen. Now I know how I can help other people that have fallen. What she do when she's not wasting her money. So when you've been through something in one sense, you've been given a gift, you're uniquely qualified to help somebody else in that situation. Quit feeling sorry for yourself and go lift somebody else up. Everything that happens to us happens for a reason. Nothing is a coincidence. Some experiences may help us grow, they may help us mature and come up higher. These are the times when God will allow us to go through a difficult time so later on we can be instrumental in helping others. We can overcome so we can help others overcome. Can God trust you with pain? Can God trust you to be uncomfortable? Or will you get discouraged and say, I don't understand why all this is happening to me? I say respectfully, it's not all about you. What if God has allowed this difficulty so that 3 years down the road you can help somebody else move forward? Can He trust you? When I lost my friend, it was painful. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But do you know how many people that I have helped talking about my pain and how I got through it? The comfort that I received during that loss is what I did. We all have something to give. We've all been through lots of pain and struggle. Don't say to yourself, you may not like it, but there is a purpose. There is a purpose for the pain. There is a purpose for the pain. Okay? I saw a story on the news about a woman. She been perfectly healthy to start with launching. She didn't know what was wrong. So over the next few months, her back started hurting, her feet was swollen, she couldn't sleep. She went to the doctor early on, and the doctor thought, it's some kind of virus that would pass. Month after month, more symptoms started. She was uncomfortable, she was swollen, she was losing weight, she didn't like it. One day she started having sharp pain in her stomach area. She tried to endure it, hoping it would pass, and it got worse and worse. The pain was so excruciating she couldn't take it anymore. Her husband would rush her to the emergency room. The doctor examined her and said, I know now exactly what the problem is. 90 minutes later, she delivered her first baby boy. She had been pregnant and didn't know it. All those symptoms she had been feeling, pain, discomfort, the nausea, the not sleeping well, there had been a purpose to them. The change had been taking place. She was about to birth something new. Okay. Like her, there's times when we're pregnant, we don't know it. All we feel is pain. It's uncomfortable. Why is this happening to me? The pain is a sign that you're about to give birth. You stay in faith, the pain will pass. You'll give birth to something new. Your new strengths, new talents, new ministry, new business, new relationships. When you're in a difficult season and you do not understand it, don't focus on the pain. Focus on the fact that a new level is coming. Scripture says Jesus endured the pain of the cross, looking forward to the joy that was set before him. If you just focus on the pain present, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to think, this is not fair. I just can't take this anymore. Have a new perspective and say, yeah, it's difficult. It's not what I planned. But I know this pain is not here to defeat me. It's here to promote me. It's a sign that I'm about to give birth. It's son, I'm about to get birth. When it's painful, don't get discouraged. Get ready, because you're about to give birth. That discomfort that you're feeling, it's not just random pain. That is a birth pain. And I'm talking to you too. I'm talking to you too. It's birth pain. There's a gift in that pain. There's a blessing in that pain. Do not waste it. Look for opportunities. Can God trust you with the pain? Are you going to get bitter and give up on your dreams? Or are you going to say, God, I may not understand this, but I trust you. Remember, you have some hands on the thermostat. God does. And He would not allow intense fire to hit it. So don't just go through it, grow through it. If you do this, your pain, I promise, will be turned into your gain. Okay? You're going to come out stronger. You're going to come out promoted. You're going to come out increased. Out of that pain, you're going to get a new approach to your level of destiny. Okay? So when we get together again, we're going to talk about how we are blessed by our gifts. Okay? We're going to talk about how we are blessed by our gifts. So I'm very, very, very happy for you guys that have joined me, that are joining me on this journey, okay, of personal development and how we discovering how we are actually blessed in the darkness, okay. And I will see you guys next time. I love you. Be blessed. Okay.